You wake up before your alarm. Then you remember there is no alarm, no office, no inbox, no manager asking whether you have a quick minute, which is rarely quick and never just a minute. So what do you do all day? The tempting answer is almost nothing, but the real answer is far stranger. Ancient people did not live before work. They lived before jobs as you understand them. There was no salary, no weekend, no retirement plan, and no glowing rectangle telling you that your productivity was down 12%. But food still had to be found. Fires had to be kept alive. Children had to be watched. Tools broke. Roofs leaked. Predators did not respect personal time. The difference was not that work was absent. The difference was that work, rest, learning, family life, and entertainment were tangled together. Imagine waking in a small, mobile camp thousands of years ago. Your first task is not checking the time. It is checking the world. Is it raining? Is the fire still burning? Did animals pass nearby during the night? Is anyone sick? Is there water close enough to reach safely? What food remains from yesterday? Your schedule is not controlled by a clock. It is controlled by weather, light, hunger, season, animal movement, plant growth, and the opinions of several relatives who have already started discussing what everyone should do. Some mornings, a group leaves to gather plants, nuts, roots, fruit, shellfish, insects, eggs, or honey. Another group may hunt, fish, set traps, collect firewood, repair a shelter, or move camp. This does not mean every man hunts while every woman gathers. Real societies have always been more complicated than a tidy museum diagram. Archaeological and ethnographic evidence shows variation between communities, environments, ages, and individuals. In some places, women hunted. In others, men gathered. Children helped. Older adults contributed knowledge, childcare, craft skill, and food. And hunting was not an 8-hour shift. It could mean hours of tracking followed by failure. The animal might escape. The hunter might return with nothing except a very detailed explanation of why the animal was unusually clever that day. Gathering was often more predictable, but it still required expertise. You had to know what was edible, where it grew, when it appeared, how to dig it up, how to remove toxins, and how to carry it home. A landscape that looks empty to you might look like a fully stocked supermarket to someone who has spent a lifetime learning it. Except the supermarket occasionally contains snakes. Finding food was only the beginning. Back at camp, plants might need grinding, soaking, peeling, roasting, or pounding. Meat had to be butchered, cooked, dried, smoked, or shared. Hides could be scraped and softened. Stone edges needed sharpening. Spears, digging sticks, baskets, nets, cords, clothing, containers, and shelters needed constant repair. Much of this work disappears from archaeology because wood, fiber, leather, and plant material decay. Stone tools survive and receive all the attention, like the one employee who stays late and somehow gets credit for the entire department. You would also spend an enormous amount of time around children. Human children take years to become independent. They need food, protection, comfort, teaching, and regular intervention when they decide to test whether a dangerous object is, in fact, dangerous. But learning did not usually happen in a classroom. Children watched adults. They copied movements. They played with miniature tools. They followed older children. They practiced gathering, cooking, climbing, carrying, tracking, and caring for younger siblings. Research among present-day foraging communities shows that observation and play can be major parts of learning, although no living society is a perfect copy of the ancient past. That warning matters. Modern hunter-gatherers are not fossils. They live in the present, have their own histories, and have often faced displacement, trade, government pressure, wage labor, and contact with farmers or states. Anthropologists use their lives to understand possible human patterns, not to reconstruct one universal prehistoric timetable. And there was never one ancient lifestyle anyway. A coastal community with reliable fish and shellfish lived differently from a desert group following scattered water and plants. People in cold regions spent more time on clothing, fuel, shelter, and stored food. Communities near seasonal rivers might experience weeks of abundance followed by difficult months. Some groups moved often. Others stayed in rich locations for long periods. So an ancient day could be busy. It could also contain long stretches of rest. This is where the famous argument about hunter-gatherer leisure appears. In the 20th century, anthropologist Richard Lee estimated that Zhou/Huanxi adults he observed spent surprisingly few hours directly obtaining food. Marshall Salins later described hunter-gatherers as the original affluent society, arguing that people could be affluent not by owning much, but by wanting little and meeting those wants efficiently. The idea became famous. It also became simplified. The lowest estimates often counted food collection but left out cooking, tool-making, childcare, carrying water, maintaining camp, and other necessary tasks. When those activities are included, the working week looks much less like a permanent vacation. Still, the larger point did not completely disappear. A 2019 study of Agta communities in the Philippines found that greater involvement in farming was associated with more work and less leisure. Farming could produce more food, but fields demanded clearing, planting, weeding, guarding, harvesting, processing, and storage. A wild plant does not complain if you ignore it for 2 days. A crop can destroy your entire year out of spite. Ancient foragers often worked in bursts. When food was available, people collected it. When an animal was killed, processing could continue for hours. When weather turned bad, movement might stop. When supplies were sufficient, people could rest, visit, talk, play, make ornaments, sing, dance, perform rituals, gamble, flirt, argue, reconcile, and tell stories. In other words, they behaved like people. Night changed the rhythm. Anthropologist Polly Wiesner studied conversations among Zhou/Huanxi communities and found that daytime talk often focused on practical matters, while firelit evening conversations shifted towards stories, distant people, spiritual ideas, and shared imagination. The fire was not ancient television. Television rarely asks you to add wood or keeps large animals away, but it created a social space after useful daylight ended. Stories could teach rules, preserve memories, explain relationships, entertain children, strengthen alliances, and allow everyone to discuss the person who was not currently sitting beside the fire. So what did ancient people do all day? They searched, carried, cut, dug, cooked, repaired, watched, learned, rested, talked, played, negotiated, shared, waited. Waiting mattered more than you might expect. A hunter waited for movement. A fisher waited for a bite. A group waited for rain to stop. People waited for plants to ripen, animals to migrate, wounds to heal, fires to cook food, and relatives to finish a story that had clearly become much longer than necessary. Life was not a constant survival montage, but it was not easy. Injury, infection, hunger, dangerous childbirth, violence, extreme weather, and food shortages were real. There was no supermarket during a failed season, no emergency room after a broken leg, and no thermostat when winter arrived. Leisure existed beside risk, not instead of it. Then agriculture gradually changed the relationship between people and time. Farming tied communities to fields, harvest cycles, stored surplus, property, and more permanent settlements. Larger settlements created new tasks, specialists, leaders, taxes, construction projects, trade networks, armies, and eventually formal labor obligations. Much later, clocks, factories, offices, and wage systems separated work time from free time far more sharply. Your modern day is divided into labeled boxes. Ancient life was divided by events. You worked until the animal was processed, the basket was finished, the firewood was collected, or the storm began. The task often had an immediate visible purpose. It was usually done near people you knew. It could be exhausting, repetitive, uncomfortable, and dangerous, but it was rarely an abstract spreadsheet about another spreadsheet. That may be the strangest part. Ancient people did not have more time because they had nothing to do. They experienced time differently because useful activity, social life, play, teaching, and survival were not cleanly separated. You can leave your job and still spend the evening cooking, cleaning, repairing something, caring for someone, and arguing with a device that refuses to connect to Wi-Fi. They would recognize most of that. They would simply be confused about the Wi-Fi. So before the advent of work, people did not sit around waiting for work to be invented. They did nearly everything required to keep a human world alive. They just did not call it a job.